The new head of the Royal Commission into Abuse concedes there are fences to be mended in gaining the trust of survivors working with the investigation. Former District Court Judge Coral Shaw replaces Sir Anand Satyanand as chair following his resignation. Judge Shaw handled the public fallout after it was revealed a convicted paedophile, who was the partner of a member of the Survivors Advisory Group, had mixed with abuse survivors at Commission-related functions without their knowledge. The Commission has since introduced compulsory vetting for advisors and their support people. I asked the new chair, why her for the top job?
Well, the Minister selected me, so the Minister obviously felt I was the right person for the job. But I think the important thing is that I'm somebody who's had a year's experience on the present Royal Commission and that I'm able to bring some continuity. I think a new person coming in would have had to do a lot of catch-up, if you like. So I'm in the fortunate position of having had the experience of working under the direction of Sir Anand Satyanand, learning from him, and it means that I'm able to continue the work of the Commission, hopefully without any disruption.
So how is this Commission going to be any different under your leadership? Are there any changes that you think are needed?
None immediately, but in fact we are at a very interesting time in the life of the Commission, because we've reached the end of our establishment phase. We've spent the last year working very hard at building processes, building an organisation, connecting with survivors, engaging with community groups and getting ourselves ready to do the real work. And so at this point, and that's what Sir Anand has led us through. And so I'm very fortunate to be able to pick up where he left off and moving forward now straight into all the seriously hard work that we have to do, talking to survivors, holding public hearings, engaging with the community. So nothing different, just a new phase.
Well, the Commission hasn't been without its hurdles so far. I want to talk about the Survivors Advisory Group. What value do they bring to the Commission?
They're an important part of the Commission, and they are required under the terms of reference to be a group of survivors who can give advice to the commissioners about the work and the way the work can be done. There have been difficulties. There've been a large and disparate group who've had to come from all parts of the country. There have been people with some issues that they've had to deal with in confronting the very raw revelations that they bring and that others bring, and that's made it a very difficult dynamic. But
so how is your relationship with them then?
Well, at the moment, I wouldn't say that I had a deep relationship with them, but one of the very first things that I'm going to do is to meet with them when I can. We're already sending out some communications to them to explain where we're up to at the moment. But as I said, we're in a new phase now, and now we're moving into the serious operational time. Now is the time when we really badly need to hear the voices of survivors as we go into the next phase of work. So that's what I'll be working on doing, building up a firm relationship with them.
When do you imagine you're going to meet with them? Because obviously vetting is underway. You introduced vetting for this group, and they were advised that there will be no contact with commissioners or the Commission while vetting is underway. So when do you plan to meet them?
Well, the vetting is underway, and we've now received back, I think, from virtually every one of our Survivor Advisory Group, the relevant forms that we needed them to fill out. There's a few more things we need to go through in terms of checking up on their well-being and the like. In fact, we just had a session yesterday when we were planning the next phase of finishing off that. And vetting is a rather difficult word. You know, vetting, you think, oh, police vetting. This is checking up on their well-being, checking up on their availability, checking up on their capacity to do the work.
It's also checking on convictions though, isn't it, Judge Shaw?
Oh yes, that's part of it, and that's the vetting part of it, but the rest of it is, and we've done that, the rest of it is really about their well-being and getting them in a place where they can do the job that we want them to do, and that is to give us some very important insider advice about survivors.
Because Checkpoint has spoken to a number of individuals on the survivors group, and to be honest, they're not that thrilled with your appointment. And this follows on from the way they view the handling of the issue of the paedophile. There is a trust issue in their view. Do you see that there are some fences to be mended there, and how are you going to do it?
Absolutely, there are some fences to be mended. One of the the biggest issues that the Commission has faced from the beginning, and we will continue to face to the very end, is gaining the trust of survivors. Survivors have been abused by the state. The survivors have been abused by the churches that they were involved with. And so anything that looks like the state or an institution is automatically, I think, they see us as part of that abusing organisation. And the only way that we can get over that is to demonstrate that we are worthy of trust. Now that I see as one of my major tasks, to be started quickly and as soon as possible.
Because to go straight to the point, some of that group is concerned that you minimised their experiences around this issue of the paedophile, and they see it as the same kind of minimising and denials that they were faced with as kids when they tried to disclose abuse. So what's your response to that concern?
Well, the first thing is I'm really sorry if they felt that I was minimising it. I really apologise to them if that is the impression they got. Certainly that was not my intention, and I'm more than willing to apologise to them for doing that. But
you haven't done that already?
No, I haven't. And the reason is that we've just come out of a very heavy 2 weeks contextual hearing in Auckland, where we were literally in a hearing room for all those days, and we haven't had time. We've just come out of that. But now there's the moment that we've got a little bit of space, a little bit of time, and it's certainly a high priority for me. I don't expect them to trust me completely from the very beginning. Some of them may never trust me. But the reality is I've got the job and I have to do the best I can to try and build some trust and confidence in the job that I'm doing.
If they don't trust you, how can you work together? Because isn't that what a fundamental base of this whole commission is trust, is it not?
Absolutely. Well, it's their decision if they want to work with me or not. I mean, I can't make them. We've invited them to be part of the Survivor Advisory Group. If they feel they can't trust me, then they have a choice, and you know that sounds harsh, and I would respect that choice.
But they're crucial to your work, aren't they?
They are, but there are other survivors out there. There are other people who are very keen to become part of the Survivor Advisory Group. And I can say that we're looking in the future to be organising this in a way that probably, hopefully, will be more congenial to them, more meeting their individual needs, maybe small focus groups where they can feel as though they can properly get their say. I think they've probably not had the feeling that they haven't had an opportunity properly to express their views. So we're looking at these ways to bring them in, with the main aim of getting their advice, which is what we badly need.
So how many people from that survivors group have resigned or left since it was established?
I think 2, 3. I think we've got at least 2, and there's another person who's considering their position.
And for what reasons have they left?
Some have felt uncomfortable in the group. The group dynamics have been rather difficult. Some find that it's not the sort of thing that they want to do anymore. They've got their own personal reasons for doing that. Those who have resigned have written very fulsome and generous letters, and which we have accepted.
Have any of them raised issues of trust and confidence in the Commission as reasons for their resignations?
Quite honestly, I wouldn't like to answer that because I can't recall specifically the letters which we received over the last month or so, and so I wouldn't like to say no, and I wouldn't like to say yes because I'm not confident. I don't have the letters with me.
And that is Judge Coral Shaw, who's just been appointed the new chairperson of the Royal Commission into Abuse in State and Faith-Based Care.